All right, welcome everyone to the 2025 Town Hall. We'll go ahead and get started here. Just a few minutes past the top of the hour. Thank you to all 35 plus people attending via the Discord, as well as the 15 plus people attending currently via the YouTube channel. Again, we hope this makes it a lot easier for everyone to be able to view this event, rewatch what it is that we're trying to do for this year, and we'll go on from there. All right, so today we're going to talk about quite a few things. The agenda is quite full, but it's going to take no more than probably 45 minutes to get through all the material. So we appreciate you staying with us and sticking along for the town hall journey. With that being said, what we're going to do today for today's agenda is we're going to go through some introductions. We'll go through some staffing updates, and then I'll talk specifically about some of the updates that are coming to the VA in 2025, give you a little bit more context to what it is that you saw in that video. We'll talk a little bit more about some of our partnerships, and then from there we'll move on and start talking about our 2024 statistics review and survey review with our new Chief Operating Officer, Will Higgins. He'll then open up the floor for a Q&A session and open floor discussion for everyone to be able to ask questions, provide feedback and suggestions to the VA so we can hear directly from you what it is that you want to see happen within your organization. And then I'll wrap it up here with some closing remarks and outline our goals again for the year of 2025. Again, this forum is via the, you want to call it the stage presence in Discord and via YouTube. So if you end up having questions, I'm monitoring both, and we'll facilitate those questions at the end during that Q&A session at Open Floor. We'll do our best to be able to answer all the questions possible, but during that time frame, I'll have Will walk through what the process will be as far as raising your hand in the Discord server to allow for us to bring you up onto the stage and ask your question, or you can send it via text message, via chat in the YouTube channel, or in the SVA Town Hall chat as well. Awesome. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. Alrighty. So for our vision, our purpose, and our values for the VA, none of those have changed, but I want to kind of rescope everyone in the organization what it is that we are here to do. So as a virtual airline in this flight simulation world, our purpose here is specifically to connect people with what's important in their flight simulator experience through being a friendly, reliable, and a realistic virtual airline. Our vision is to become the world's most loved, most flown, and most enjoyable virtual airline, while we uphold the values of Southwest Airlines for real, their actual organization, by maintaining their warrior spirit, their servant's heart, and having a fun-loving attitude. And then we want to work the Southwest way. We want to be reliable. We want to have our friendly staff. We want to have an immense realism, and then we want to embrace our community. So our purpose, our vision, and our values have not changed, and those all drive our mission statement, which is the mission of Southwest Virtual Airlines is dedicated to the highest quality of flight simulation with a sense of realism, warmth, and friendliness, as well as company spirit. So what is it that you're going to hear from us today? Well, you're going to hear a transformational plan that's going to build on the foundation of what SVA has been for the last 15 years. We're going to dive into what that initiative portfolio looks like, or we're going to show you what it is that we're doing behind the scenes, and we're going to show you why it's going to deliver you the value that you deserve as a pilot or member within our organization. We're also going to show you the monetization of what it is that it means to be a member, what that value looks like within our own specific organization. And then we're going to show you as well what it is that we're doing to increase our overall operational efficiency and providing you a more realistic environment. So at the beginning of the year, most of you are probably aware, we're day 18 into the year, and I took over from Ryan Flynn as the Chief Executive Officer for the virtual airline. And when I did so, I kind of wanted to outline what it is that my objectives are as the new CEO and focus it into three main priority areas to help basically drive Southwest Virtual Airlines forward more. So the first one, right, is to innovate and enhance the overall member experience, right? We're committed to building this strong foundation that we have already over the last 15 years, as previously mentioned, and then use that to help modernize our systems, offer realistic simulation, and then enrich the overall training programs that we already have in place to help provide a world-class experience for everybody who joins the VA. The second part that we want to or that my goal is the objective while I'm here as the CEO, is to drive that sustainable growth and create value within the organization. I want us to expand our overall community engagement. I want us to strengthen that value of what it means to be a member, and then generate those impactful campaigns that are going to help support the new 501c3 mission alongside the VA to ensure that we all have a long-term success. And then lastly, the biggest thing here is to streamline the operations for overall excellence. The goal here is for me to upgrade the tools with the staff that we have on our team and our development processes to help refine and utilize our feedback systems, everything that you are telling us that you want. And then we're going to hopefully take that information and we're going to push it forward, and we're going to achieve greater efficiency, greater reliability, and even more scalability while we start to foster that more culture of always continuing to always improve, right? So these objectives together will help us ensure that we're not only going to meet the expectations of what it is that you, our pilots, want, but it's also going to help set that new standard in what it means to be a pilot for a virtual airline. So how are we going to actually translate this vision that I had as a CEO into more measurable and actionable goals for 2025? Well, we kind of broke it down pretty simply. First, we're going to want to exceed and maintain 2,000 plus active pilots. That's pretty easy to do, especially in the realm of possibility of where we're currently standing. And then the other couple of goals here that we want to accomplish in light of that 2,000 active members is also to exceed 1 million flight hours. We're pretty close to that. I think we can accomplish that this year without a doubt, especially with some new real world red eye flights and some new route changes that are coming to the real world airline that we're going to emulate in our own organization. I think will allow for us to exceed that flight hour cap that we currently have, over 1 million hours, and see if we can break the site to make it happen, kind of deal. The next thing that I want to do is I want to get more feedback. I want to get more understanding of what it means to be a pilot in the VA from the grassroots individuals who are operating our systems on a daily basis. And how I want to do that is by continuing to push out the surveys and achieve a greater than 90% satisfaction rating on all of our surveys. And then kind of to help maintain that line of exceed and maintain 2,000 active pilots, as well as meeting the objectives that I mentioned previously, the goal is to increase our overall community engagement within the VA via our new marketing team and our events team. And then lastly, and but not least, is our training throughput. We've had a struggle with the training department over the last couple of years, getting it back up and running to its full capacity, getting it to where we can begin to engage fully in what it means to train a pilot from a PPL all the way up to an ATP style rating, utilizing the VATSIM training structure model. And the goal here is that we are going to increase that throughput by over 50%. We've only put a couple of students through a year, and we're looking to make that more than just a couple as we continue to move through 2025 and beyond. So let's get into our staffing updates. Staffing updates for the VA are pretty substantial. We'll go through some of the first lower level staffing changes that are going to impact you the most, and then we'll move up to some of the other ones that we're expecting. Again, if you have questions or anything, please, there's slide numbers on most of the slides in the bottom right-hand section. Please just take a note of those slide numbers, and if you have a specific question on that slide number or you want to get more information later on, please feel free to write that down, put it in the chat, and then we'll try to get back to it once we get to that Q&A session. What we'll do now, though, is we'll get into our staffing updates. So as you know, we've shuffled around a lot of our staff, and we've brought in a lot of more new staff members to help us meet our goals for 2025. So first, I'd like to welcome to the VA staff team the Atlanta Chief Pilot, which is Tyler Landers, the Los Angeles Chief Pilot, Tyler Johnson, as well as the Phoenix Chief Pilot, Isaiah, and the Houston Chief Pilot, Caden. These new Chief Pilots are going to help us bring the VA up to that next level of standard that we're providing. So thank you for taking that step up to help the overall organization become a bigger and better place for all. With that being said, we're going to get into what the upper management staff changes are, right? So the upper management team has undergone a significant amount of change, as well as introduce new positions to help drive that VA, or to help drive our VA forward, right? The goal here is to ensure a bright future. And I want to express a quick moment of a heartfelt thank you to all the former staff members that have filled these positions, all the founders who have helped build this incredible legacy that we've been laying our foundation on for the past 15 years to continue our success in the next 15 plus years. And all the contributions that all of our former staff members and founders have made have helped make this VA what it is today. So again, I'd just like to say thank you to everyone as part as that goes. And then now here's to our new upper management. So anyone who's on our new upper management team, I'd like to first by saying thank you for stepping up to help lead us into the future. Your dedication, your vision are going to propel us to what is possible within the virtual airline and beyond, take us to new heights, and solidify why it is that we are the best virtual airline in this community. So again, I'd just like to say thank you to all. Now, it's the moment you all been waiting for. We're going to go over the state of the VA, and we're going to express what our vision is for the future and provide you some updated information. All right, VA updates. So we are working to better enable full compatibility with Microsoft Flight Sim 2024. Expect that we have a new development team online and that we're building to be able to work on this as soon as possible once the new website is released at the end of or in the mid to end March of 2025. Just be aware that right now LoveCars is capable of flying on that and referencing your systems on Flight Sim 2024. However, certain features like that flight deck manipulation with our interactive co-pilot are unavailable at this time. That will change in the future. Again, our dedication currently is focused on the overall focus on the website, getting the new version of the website out, and you'll see why we're focusing so much attention on that here in the next few slides. Some new changes as well as the new SOP. So recommend that all of our pilots go and review the new SOP as code and code of conduct. There are very important changes that are in that document, but there are more to come. The code of conduct has been more expansive and has been removed specifically from the SOP and has been created as its own separate document. There's a lot more information in there that pilots are now expected to abide by. So please, when you have a chance, go check out SOP 7.0 and the new code of conduct. Those are both available on the resource or under the Human Resources Policies tab on the Southwest Virtual Airlines website. Speaking of websites, let's talk about our new website. So the new website's almost done. We are putting through the finishing touches right now. We're beginning testing on this new server, and we're expecting that we are going to remain on timeline for that March 2025 release. Expect that there will be some sneak previews of portions of this slideshow. You'll see some new peeks of what that new site will look like throughout this presentation. So as the website does come to a finish, though, we're going to have to move a lot of our pilots' information and their current status and everything from our old server that we have to our new server. So this server migration period will happen coincidentally with the launch of the new website. Essentially, what you can expect is that the server, the old website, and the new website will all be down for us to be able to transfer the information from the old server to the new server, and it could take up to 24 hours to complete. So what does that mean? Well, unfortunately, that does mean that the website, those servers, and LoveCars 5 and all the information associated will be unavailable for potentially up to 24 hours. However, once that new migration to the new server is complete, the new website will be up and running, and that will be the new face of swavirtual.com. So again, it is a good thing for us to do this. We will keep you updated on the exact date that we expect this to happen. But again, it will be happening coincident with the first quarter release sometime in March of 2025. And then as you all are aware, as we transitioned with the new staffing changes, et cetera, the VA has transitioned ownership overall to a 501c3 to help enable a more streamlined funding of the day-to-day operations of the organization. This will help become effective sometime here in quarter one of 2025 once the final paperwork is all submitted and signed. And then last but not least, we have LoveCars 5 updates. So LoveCars 5 updates include the bug fixes to known issues that we have, such as SVA aircraft not approved. This bug is known due to file types within the what LoveCars is referencing to determine whether or not your aircraft is an actual 737 versus a 777, right? So currently there was not a lot of parameters associated with this. It was strictly just, it has to say 737 in the title. It has to have this parameter and this parameter met. And instead we are updating that information. We are moving forward with a lot better information to help support that. Again, the reason that we had to do this to begin with was because we had Southwest 787s and A380s and a whole bunch of other aircraft that Southwest doesn't fly all over the network and all over our servers themselves. So we had to find some way to limit that issue that we were seeing and to make sure that our pilots were abiding by the SOP. And in turn, this is what the result was. And we will continue to update this to make it a lot more user-friendly and a lot more capable for you, so you don't have any of those aircraft not approved issues moving forward. With that being said, we're also working on the SDK validation. As you all know, if, for example, the PMDG aircraft or Love Cars updates, there is a potential disconnect between the SDK modification that has been done on the back end with your files on the PMDG, and those potential changes can impact the overall overall connection and ability to conduct interactive co-pilot or flight deck manipulation procedures within the Love Cars 5 application. So those are some of the bugs that we are working to fix. But with that being said, this will also, this new version of Love Cars 5 will also be released coincident with the new website release as well, because the new database of all the information that helps provide you your, takeoff and landing data, etc., is all also moving from the old server to the new server. And when that does happen, it will require a Love Cars 5 update. So we don't anticipate to release another one unless something major happens between now and then. So again, we apologize for having to deal with these bugs until potentially March. But once we get that new website and everything up and ready to go, you'll have better integration and all those bugs will be fixed and the VA will be better than ever. So what we're going to do is I'm going to get into our initiatives for 2025 and go beyond. What we're going to discuss here is what's on the table for the VA moving forward. So these following strategic initiatives that we have, we expect to be implemented here and complete by the end of 2025. So new and improved website. So with our new and improved website, this is going to highlight our VA's overall innovation to help keep us on the leading edge of what is possible in the flight simulation community, right? We are bringing together a more user-friendly experience that's ultimately going to streamline our efficiency. Sneak examples here in both the middle or the left and the middle image are our new potential crew login screen, as well as some information that you'll see associated with the different flights. If you can't see those informations, don't worry. The slideshow will be available to our pilots via SVA Life here by the end of the day. Our investment in our overall technology is another major initiative that we are pushing forward here at the VA. We've done hours and hours of research to help try and figure out what capabilities are needed at the fingertips of all of you, our pilots, right? Because our goal here, again, is to make your experience with us even better. So we're looking and pushing the most of our investment into that technology realm as well. But of course, we have to bring enhancements to how we operate overall as an organization, right? And these changes that are being made in our operational enhancement section are here to best serve the values of you, our pilots. Now, this is all just a bunch of high-level information, but we're going to go into the specific details as we go through the next couple of slides. So as far as our new website goes, right, we're developing those new features to help align with the preferences that you have provided to us, what things on the website that you like or don't like that we need to change in order for it to be easier for you to be able to have a better experience with us. Right, so the specific features that are include but are not limited to the following. We have the interactive destination map. So as seen on the right side of the screen here, it's a way for pilots to visually be able to see the different destinations served from where they're currently flying or where is currently selected on the map. Essentially, this will help streamline and encourage our pilots to help build better routes as well as better schedules. Speaking of schedules, we're now currently offering on the new website more of a realistic trip building structure for the pilots of our VA. So these trips are fully customizable, and they're based off of the real-world counterparts contract as well as their legal requirements within the FAA. So, for example, when you go and book a trip, you can specify the number of days, the number of legs in that day, and even the number and type of aircraft that you want to fly. And then what this feature will do is it will assign you a trip for you to be able to go fly and complete. The other feature that's coming to the scheduling is a new feature that allows for you to book flights anywhere at any time up to 2 to 6 weeks ahead of the current day. This is to help better immerse yourself with an overall real-world style schedule that you can build out for up to an entire month. And these flights will update every single day with more information to get you the most accurate real-time data, such as gates, such as aircraft tail numbers, etc. And this information will continue to update up until the day that you execute that flight. Other additions that we're including as well are deadheading and charter flights. So in addition to these trips, we're going to be introducing a new virtual airlines pay scale. So this virtual pay scale is similar to what that of the actual airline is. The virtual pay here at the VA will be based off of what we call a TFP, otherwise known as trips for pay, just like our real world counterpart. Essentially, the feature will allow for you to continue to make virtual money and see how the financials that you have are associated with the hard work that you're putting into the VA. TFP is not anything new to the overall aviation organization or any aviation organization for that matter. Uh, However, it can get complicated, but don't worry, we have an easy way of describing it moving forward, and we'll put that out there as we get closer to the release, so that way you have more understanding of what it means to be a pilot and what TFP means for you. And last but not least, we're adding the features of Love Cars 5 that you most dear and adore about our organization straight to the website. This will allow for you to generate a release as well as the PWB data directly from the website before you even launch the simulator, before you even launch Love Cars 5. And it will allow for you to create all that information based off the data that you booked on your schedule. And then what you'll be able to do is take that information and have it pushed to Love Cars 5, where it will then be ready in that application to go and send to the aircraft via ACARS once you're ready and in the aircraft. All of these features and more, right, are designed to help elevate your realism as well as the experience with us when you go fly. So those are some of the new website improvements. This slide that we're just now showing shows some new examples of the website. On the left-hand side, you can see an example of the new reports page that's going to be used to help better analyze your flight information. The graphs on the bottom will allow for you to better track the time and position of the aircraft in relation to where it was in a time and space on the map above. On the right-hand side, you can see a sneak peek of what the new dispatch and performance tabs will look like. The new dispatch and performance tabs on their display will basically allow for you to edit your dispatch, make sure it looks perfect before you even open up your Love Cars or your sim. And again, like we previously mentioned, you can send those over. More sneak peeks of these features will be released over the coming weeks of the VA via different levels of announcements, etc. So stay tuned. All right. So in alignment with our overall objectives that we outlined earlier in the presentation to help innovate and enhance our overall member experience, right? What we're doing to do that is we're putting in our efforts and focus into our technology. So this investment, right, that we've been talking about has yielded, and again, hours of research to bring you new features and capabilities like what you've already previously heard about what's coming on the new website. But remember, we're not going to stop there. In order to better integrate the systems of our website, we need to allow, or we have to update our servers, we have to update our user interfaces, etc. So as we continue to better integrate our systems, such as Love Cars and the website, it will allow for interoperability between web browsers, tablets, and even your new Love Cars 5 application that's coming out as well. So keep that in mind. More on that here at the end of this slide. With that being said, the training department has been very hard at work over the last, we'll call it 2 months, launching a brand new Southwest virtual online aviation resource that we're calling SOAR. This new learning management system is designed to better incorporate all of the possible trainings that you can do within the VA and streamline your learning by enabling those self-paced courses as well as progress checks. The training department is very excited to bring this online, and they'll be starting here in February with the first PPO class of 2025. As previously mentioned, we have acquired a brand new server, and this new server will allow for more connections, a new API, as well as faster results for all of our end users. This server does increase the overall VA stability and helps you provide, and will also help provide you with the information that you need when you need it. And on the lines of providing the information that you need, we're working closely with a new app developer for mobile devices to bring you a new SVA crew app, if you will. This is not only going to show you and allow for you to see the status of your current flight, help book schedules, etc., in a more user-friendly interface, similar to the website, but it will also allow for you to have access to operational documents that you'll need for those flights. We're going to push a little bit more hard to enable this feature and other applications to help better serve the users of, for example, Mac, so that way they can also experience the love of Love Cars on their operating systems as well. And of course, we're going to get into our operational enhancements. This is kind of the stuff that you're all going to want to enjoy a little bit more, and it's going to give you a little bit more information as we move forward. What we're doing here is we're going to redesign how it is that we do awards, and we're going to bring on some new challenges, such as visiting all the destinations in our timetable, completing a full trip to all the Hawaiian Islands and back. Information like that will offer new rewards for pilots and offer more challenges for them to be able to increase and update their experience and continue to strive for more within the organization. We're also going to bring on some new activity requirements. These new activity requirements are going to align ourselves with a more realistic style environment. We're going to be expanding the flight logging requirements from currently being one flight every 60 days to a total of 2 flights every 90 days. This will help better align with the real world requirements. The real world requirements are around 3 flights every 90 days. We're going to be a little bit less restrictive on that and do 2 flights every 90 days. But what this does allow for us to do, right, is to better align with that real world requirement and help keep us at the forefront of what it means to be at a virtual airline in general. The rank changes are also inbound. So these new realistic rank updates are being made, and they're used to align ourselves with how the real world operates. They're going to bring us to what a typical progression of a real world SWA pilot would look like, and help embody it is what they would experience as they go through the ranks. So all these changes and more are going to be implemented starting in March of 2025, coincident with that release of the new website. So let's get into what those ranks look like, because I know everyone's super excited about that. So here you'll see a comparison of the old rank structure alongside the new one. These changes will take effect again in March of 2025 with the new website. And the goal here is to help further incentivize the progression and promote authenticity with what we've incorporated, right? So we're bringing on the TFP into the rank structure now, as well as a requirement, right? This is going to align closely with what the real world standard is. Uh, Again, TFP and flights correlate somewhat with one another to allow for you to essentially see what it means to progress as a first officer up to a captain within the organization. This updated rank structure does mirror that of the real world carrier for the most part. There are some additional adjustments, right? We had to keep the total number of ranks the same, so that way they could correlate to each other. So there are ranks in here that may feel redundant, but when it comes time to how many flights were completed for that upgrade, it is realistic to what a real world pilot would experience if they were to be hired within the organization. For example, accomplishing 70 flights within the first year would basically allow for them to go from being a probationary first officer up to that real first officer time frame. Again, so the pilots that are currently holding ranks in the old system will automatically be transitioned to the corresponding new ranks on the website. But I want to rest assured that everyone understands that the quality of the rank and the prestige of each rank that we currently have will remain unchanged. The equivalent of a chief pilot is actually a captain based off of the real world flight requirements. The title change may happen, but the actual prestige of what that means remains unchanged. Again, and these adjustments that we're making are designed to enhance the overall realism and better reflect what it means to be part of a professional aviation environment. So what we're going to do here is we're going to kind of just outline everything that we talked about into one slide so you can kind of see what it means that we're doing. All right. As far as what our tactical initiatives are within the organization, we are here to foster community engagement and strengthen the connections within the VA. We're here to increase our throughput by 50% in the training department to help support our overall pilot development. And then again, lastly, we're here to exceed and maintain a benchmark of greater than 2,000 active pilots to ensure that we have robust participation within all of our facades of the organization. As far as our strategic initiatives go, breaking it down into that section, like we've mentioned, we have our new and improved website, right? We're streamlining those operations, features like the interactive destination map, realistic trip scheduling, virtual pay scales, as well as that enhanced dispatch and performance information. Investment in technology, right? Leveraging innovations with our online training center. We're adding Discord OAuth as well as other mobile app developments to help enhance your overall experience. And then lastly, that overall operational enhancement, bringing new awards and challenges, new rank structure, and keeping us aligned with what that real world aviation standard is to help keep everybody engaged. The focus here is boosting engagement, improving efficiency, and aligning the VA with more of that real-world airline operations. So now we're going to get into some more partnership updates. So for the partnership updates, what you can expect from us is what the importance is of these, as well as the direction of what we're going to be doing with these partnerships as we move forward here at Southwest Virtual. Why partnerships matter? Well, partnerships matter because we need to enhance the overall visibility and brand of what we do, right? We're doing this by expanding our reach and reinforcing what our identity is as an organization or as a virtual airline. We want to provide more access to resources and expertise. We want to leverage the partnerships that we have to gain tools, to gain knowledge, and to give more opportunities for our pilots to be able to use that information to help their experience. And then lastly, on the why it matters is for community engagement, right? The strengthening of connections within the VA will help foster loyalty with not only ourselves internally, but also those externally to other organizations and other partners. So what will we be doing to help do this? Well, we're going to strengthen what we have currently with our existing partners. We're going to build on what we currently have. We're going to take those relationships that we have built over the last 2+ years, and we're going to maximize those to the maximum value that they can provide. Then we're going to identify and onboard some new members, and we're going to expand our network of bringing on new collaborators. And then lastly, we're going to broaden our overall scope. We're going to explore more ways to create an impactful and mutually beneficial alliance with a lot more of those major flight sim organizations. More on that to come as we continue moving forward, but the overall focus is on leveraging these particular partnerships to enhance our visibility, bring in those new resources, and increase the overall engagement within our organization to expand the VA to have a more global footprint. So with that being said, let's introduce what our new 2025 partners are. So in 2025, we're thrilled to announce that we have the expansion of partnerships to include a new industry leaders like Tobii Eye Tracker, Boris Audio Works, and Thrustmaster. These collaborations that we've built are designed to help enhance your overall experience, cutting edge tools, and immersive content, right? What we're also doing here is we're actively working with scenery developers that we've already been partners with for many years now to help bring you even more stunning sceneries at those discounted prices and ensuring that your flights are both visually impressive just as much as they are enjoyable. And lastly, we're delivering even more engaging content through our new partner streamers campaign. New streamers such as Nick Flight X, Flying with Ethan, and Airborne with Micah. These streamers that we have will provide exclusive videos on their channels that will offer you unparalleled access to what it is that we in Southwest Virtual are doing and will help showcase some of the new features and showcase what is best about our community and what we have to offer. All right. I've been talking for a good, we'll call it, almost 30 minutes or so. I'm going to hand it over to Will Higgins, our new Chief Operating Officer, to talk about the insights and outlook moving forward for the 2025 year.
All right, thanks, Braden. If you can go ahead and just go to the next slide. I'm going to keep this part rather brief, just go over a couple of statistics from last year, look at some of the survey responses that we got, and then we can open things up for questions. So if you go ahead and advance to the next slide. All right, so first and foremost, this is a overview of our flights and hours flown compared 2023 to 2024, with the yellow line being last year. So with the exceptions of January, February, March, and October, we did overall fly less flights and hours, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we are bleeding out in terms of pilots and active people to keep the community going. Because at the end of the day, the pilots are our most valuable asset. If you could advance to the next slide, please. So if we look at a breakdown of the total flights and hours flown, as well as new hires since the founding of the VA, you can see that we have constantly grown. Hold up, can anybody hear me? I'm seeing somebody. Minnie said he can't hear me. Okay. Interesting. All right, well, I'm going to keep on going. So, like I said, thank you all. Like I said, we did overall have less flights and hours compared to last year, but we're really not dipping down too much. You can see there at the end of the x-axis over on the 2024 end, we kind of have hit a plateau. I'm not really worried about not being able to come back from that, because if you look at certain other points in our history, like at, let's see, 2012, 2016. We've been here before where we see that decrease happen. So, a year is a long time. We'll see what 2025 has in store for us. But I am optimistic that we'd be able to meet our goal of surpassing 2,000 flight hours. That is surpassing 2,000 members and our flight hour goal. So those are both very doable things. And if you could go to the next slide, please, Braden. So at this point, this is a breakdown of held reports and membership flow throughout the past year. As you can see, about half of all held reports were because of speed. So the people in this VA have a bit of a lead foot. No problem, though. Just remember, anytime that happens, to just reach out to your chief pilot, and we can get that squared away for you. Landing rates were our second leading cause of held reports. It happens to the best of us. I cratered one going into Rhode Island for Ryan's flight just a few weeks ago. Most important thing there is just make sure you're communicating, and we can get things squared away. In terms of membership flow, we did have overall more rehires and new hires than terminations. So that kind of bids the question of what caused that little bit of a downward trend. So the way that I would explain that is we do have a larger margin for rehires compared to new hires. And what we don't show on these plots, because we don't have the numbers for it, are retention rates. These are quantitative metrics that we're going to work on better keeping tabs on. That'll be a lot easier for us to do once the new website's out. Right now, we do have chief pilots manually entering data into spreadsheets that consolidates everything across the whole VA for all 1,800 of you into one spot. And that's where we get these values. So the best explanation I have for our slight decrease in total members is just retention rates. So that's something that we're going to be promoting and working to improve throughout this new year. And overall, an average of 7% of all flights in the VA were held in 2024. So if you ask me, that's a pretty good value. If you could go to the next slide, please, Braden. All right, so now we're going to get into survey responses. Going to go kind of fast through here, but of course, if you have any questions, just stick it in the chat, and we will address it once the Q&A session starts. Next slide, please. All right, so there's 3 surveys that are available to the general pilot population at Southwest Virtual. We have our overall pilot satisfaction survey, our crew-based manager, or in this case, the chief pilot feedback survey. We'll get that name updated. And then just general feedback. So we're going to start with the pilot satisfaction survey on the next slide, if you could transition, please. So kind of to my surprise, whenever we were pulling these numbers, the overall how satisfied are you with the VA was where we saw some change that I really want to improve on this year. So we went from about 2% extremely dissatisfied up to 7%. So it's still a 5% increase. Not the direction that we want to see that go. Reminder that these surveys are anonymous. So the only way that we actually know who gave us the feedback is if they self-identify. There's a question there at the very end of the surveys that are like, well, you want us to contact you? Okay, well, what's your name? So I think out of the responses we got that did tilt the scales a little bit to the dissatisfied end, there's maybe one person in that I'm actually going to be able to reach out to. So if there's anything that you ever feel like we can improve on, don't be a stranger. Our offices are all visible. If you ever want to talk to anyone on the staff, please just reach out to them and we can certainly accommodate a time to meet with you because your feedback is important and it makes the overall VA a lot better. That said, we do have a strong lean toward people who are extremely or somewhat satisfied with what we do here. And that trend is very consistent across the other questions that we ask in that survey. So opportunities to interact with other pilots, as well as services available through the VA. Again, these first couple of responses, we just have a slight lean toward the end of the scale that we're not really wanting to shoot for. So we're hoping to see a increase in the percentage that is either extremely or somewhat satisfied or strongly agree or just regularly agree with some of these statements. If you could please go to the next slide. All right. So, and then on these metrics, again, like I just said, we do have the vast majority of responses are good. It's the like 1% somewhat dissatisfied that it would be really beneficial for us to hear more about so we can make it better. I know I've already said this once, but pilots are our strongest asset in the VA. And if there's something that you think we could do better, we certainly want to hear that. If you could head to the next slide, please. Again, trend follows here. We're not really in the 70th percentile on the strongly agreed in. This is a lot more distributed over those who strongly agree with the statements and those who are kind of neutral in their stance. So this is another thing that, again, myself and the department heads and directors are strategizing for how we want to, better ourselves as your staff. So we can see a stronger shift over to the good end of these responses. So agree and strongly agree is what we're shooting for. All right. Next slide, please. Another survey that we're going to be launching is a crew survey. So this is just telling us a little bit more about you, identify demographics within our organization, and having the data is better than not having the data. So this is something that we believe could give us valuable information for our continued success with Southwest Virtual. So that's pretty much all I have on the survey results and general statistics from last year. If you go to the next slide, please. We're going to open up things for questions now. So if you have any questions, feel free to just throw it in the chat or raise your hand, and we'd be happy to pull you up here. Braden, could we go back to the re-ranking again? Chase would like to take another look at it.
Sure, give me 1 second.
Thank you. So, and just to follow up with you, Chase, like Braden was saying, we're not really changing anything but the names and the strategies that you have to follow to attain these ranks. Right, let's see. Nick has a question about the pay. Fire away or raise your hand. Nolan would like us to go into more depth about the awards and specifically new one. So we're going to loop back to that. I'm going to take Nick's question first.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. So my question about the pay was, is it more of like some sort of, I just need more detail on it. Is it, for sceneries, or how does that kind of thing work? Like, what do you get with the money and the pay and all that?
So currently what the money and the pay will provide you is kind of like a realization of what it is that you would be making if you were an actual first officer with a real world airline. The hourly pay is going to be first off, very similar to what it is that they would be making hourly, correlated into how the real airline operates, which is TFP. So what it is that you can do with this information is not yet being released. We're looking on potentially allowing you to, after acquiring so many hours or so many TFP or so much pay, that you can use that information to potentially buy charters. Because right now we're going to be most likely limiting the amount of charter flights that an individual can do within the VA based off of what rank they are. Charter flights are something that is they're a little bit more rare real world. And in order for you to be eligible to do one, such as maintenance ferries, or if you want to do something else, there's usually limited ones that happen every month, right? So you'll be able to buy charter flights. Deadheads will be always completely free, so you can always deadhead whenever you want, wherever you want. However, the overall goal here within the new rank structure is to at least provide us and align us more with the real world airline. And then we're looking at those other benefits, such as exclusive discounts or more exclusive discounts to people who reach that specific rank with a specific pay, and so on and so forth. So we're still diving into it a little bit more. We don't know exactly how we're going to manage all of the facets of it, but for the most part, that's kind of where our mind is headed. I hope that kind of answered your question, considering since we don't have all the answers yet, but I hope it got the majority of your question answered.
Yeah, that pretty much answered it. So I appreciate you taking the time to answer. Thanks.
Of course. Thanks, Nick.
All right, Nolan, your turn. And Andrew, I'm going to get to your question next.
All right, hey guys. So
Hi, Nolan.
Hi, Will. I was just curious about the new awards that you guys are coming out with, specifically like the new ones and that Hawaii one you were talking about, Brandon.
Yeah, so the intent here, right, is to, I'm going to go back to our other slide just so that way we can, keep it. Good to go. We'll I'll have Will post a picture of what that slideshow or of what that portion of the slide means in the chat, as well as on the Discord server in the company chat, so people can review that new rank information as well. Because I know there's going to be probably a few more questions on it.
Do you want me to go ahead and post that in?
Yes, please.
All right.
So Nolan, basically what we're going to be doing with the new award style structure is, again, the Hawaii one, for example. Basically, whenever you do an ETOPS flight from, let's call it San Diego out to Honolulu, and then all of the flights within the inner islands have been completed and all those destinations have been knocked off, and then flying all the way back home. If you were able to complete all of those different types of flights, essentially, then you would be getting the Island Hopper Award or whatever it is that we're calling it in the future. Just as like an example, right? A lot of other VAs and a lot of other organizations have a lot more routes that they're able to fly. There's the milk runs, there's a whole bunch of other, transatlantic, trans-Pacific, all these different things that we don't really do because we are basically maintaining CONUS slash Mexico, and the Caribbean, and then out to Honolulu, Hawaii area. So we're trying to build some of that. Visiting all the crew bases is going to be like another reward if you visit every single crew base within like a year. If we have these new event series and you participate in certain event series, that'll be a new award. Attending Flight Sim Expo, proving your membership and attendance to Flight Sim Expo with us will get you a new award. Basically, incentivizing you being engaged and correlate and like engaging with us as an organization is what's going to help and get you more awards essentially for the VA. I hope that kind of answered your question. If you have ideas for stuff that you want to see, again, feel free to submit that via feedback to your chief pilot or up to Will or even Chris or myself, and we'll start looking into what those might look like moving forward.
Yep. All right, that answered it. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Nolan.
Yeah, of course. Okay, there was another question from Andrew. He said, what kind of love cars will we see for Max users? Current love cars is great, but the old one doesn't run on the ARM architecture. So I'll go ahead and answer that one. It is something that we care about. It is something that we want to address and develop and ultimately provide support to. It's a matter of there's so many plates spinning at once, and we need to prioritize what's going to benefit the most amount of people. And the vast majority of our users are on Windows and do use Microsoft Flight Simulator. So that's what we always shoot to get compatible with first. Does that mean that our Mac users are not as important? Absolutely not. When we can get that developed, we certainly will. This is all part of our investment in technology, so it's a matter of when we find the talent for someone who we think could help us out in that regard, then we would consider hiring someone for that. So I hope that answered your question, Andrew.
Just to pile on to that one moment, we do have a developer that is building apps for the mobile devices such as iPads and like iPhones and Android devices as well. So in those realms, we are working to increase the ability and throughput that we are able to provide through applications on mobile devices, not flight sim on mobile devices, but like flight tracking and manipulation of your dispatch and scheduling and those types of things. That way you don't have to always be on a computer to do your scheduling and that kind of stuff. So just kind of keep that in mind. That's where we're going moving forward. And then with that being said, as we are in the realm of developing an application for iOS style software, we're also then going to look at what that means for a Mac OS and transferring a desktop version of Love Cars for the Mac via the new SVA app that we're developing. So we're trying to figure it out and make a correlation between the two. I can't give you a timeline on when that will be released, given that Love Cars itself is such a beast of a software that we redeveloping that for an application on the Mac may take a little bit longer than anticipated. It may not even be a 2025 goal, but the applications in general are to at least have a beta version released by December of this year here. So I hope that kind of answers the question. If it doesn't, please please continue to go forward and ask more details if you'd like.
Yeah, and it looks like we do have a lot of questions coming in, so I'm working my way through them, guys. I do want to follow up on Michael's question. He said, do rehires retain rank or does rank get reset? I already answered that question, but I want to actually clarify something that I said. So let's say you're an executive chief pilot right now. Would you automatically become a check airman? Yes and no. It all is going to depend on what types of legs you've flown. So if you, for whatever reason, it doesn't calculate that you have 2,500 TFP, but you do have 1,200 flights, then it would just bump you down to the next lowest rank, and you'd work your way back up. Because notice in the slide that I posted in chat, it is an and or type of situation. So like for these first initial ranks, you either get accomplished the requisite number of flights, or you accomplish the requisite trip for pay. We only add that and condition in for captain and well, if we're talking about the new ranks, we only add that in for first officer, captain, senior captain, and check airman. But in terms of completely resetting your progress, no, that is completely out of the question. We would not do that to you.
I will pile one more thing onto that. In addition to our new activity requirements, we are also expanding the time frame that you have as a new hire or as a rehire to accomplish a flight within our organization. That'll also be coincident with the new website release in 2025. So, for example, if you're a new hire, you will no longer, because we have expanded to a 90-day period for you to be active. We have transitioned the first flight status to happen just a single flight within 30 days now, instead of one flight within the 7 days followed by a what do you want to call it, termination warning period of 7 days. So we're transitioning into that 30-day construct to allow for new hires and rehires into the organization more time to get their simulators set back up, to get involved within our processes and potentially watch some videos and get some stuff squared away. So that way, when they do their first flight, they're set up for success and not rushed into doing something and potentially having it held or even rejected because of not knowing or the new systems or something along those lines. So we're kind of giving a little bit more grace when it comes to that as well.
All right. Let's see. And if I skip any question, just feel free to ask it again. Rick asked, well, he didn't ask, he gave a suggestion. He said it would be nice for an award for our pilots who have flown every leg out of their home hub. Yeah, no, I think that's a fantastic idea. It's something that we'll take into account. I can't give you a estimate as to when something like that would be added, just because, like I said, there are some other things that we want to prioritize, but Rick, it is a very good suggestion. Let's see, and then Nolan asked another question. So with that app, specifically for iPad, we'll have a realistic EFB, if that makes sense. Yes, that is my understanding, Nolan. Micah would like us to go over some of the discounts pilots can expect from our partners, for example, the Boris Sound Pack.
Yeah, so I'll tip into that real quick. Details about any additional partnerships with Boris are not yet released. We're waiting a little bit closer to the release of his actual pack from beta to public. Once that gets into the final stages here, we will make an announcement of what that may look like within our organization. However, I can speak on our partnerships with Toby. For example, Toby Eye Tracker 5. You do get a 5% discount by utilizing the code SWAVirtual on their checkout page. It's a 5% off. Again, it's a pretty expensive product, so 5% means a lot in some of those realms. We are still offering our 10% off on all Thrustmaster products. We're also offering the 10 to 20% off on certain sceneries as well. So if you are not aware, we have moved all of our discounts to be eligible to only those who are second officers or higher. Once you've completed those flights, then you will be essentially considered eligible to receive discounts on behalf of the VA, and those are all available on SVA Life under the Employee Discounts tab, under the Life and Career section.
All right, we have another question. What is the meaning of TFP, so trip for pay, in connection with the rank? So I've seen this question a couple of times now, so I want to verbally address it. TFP, like I said, stands for trip for pay. It takes into account the total miles flown rather than just total flights accomplished. And that's how, in a professional aviation setting, they would actually determine how your paycheck comes out. So there's a formula that I do not know off the top of my head, but it would be, we calculate all of this for you, so you're not going to have to be sitting there with a calculator doing anything crazy. We'll calculate it for you, and we will release more details as to how that number is calculated. there any other questions or questions that I accidentally skipped that we need to loop back to? We are at the 1 o'clock mark, but I can stick around. There's questions on YouTube.
I got it.
Yeah, can you get
I'll
those?
pull the ones from the YouTube. So,
Thank
will there
you.
be more training videos from our real world pilots? Yes, we have quite a few videos already teed up. They're in the final stages, and I think we have 3 or 4 that are pending release right now that will get released over the next month or two. Expect that we're going to strategically release them with potential new things, such as, the new bore sound pack that's being released will potentially, have a video about engine starts or something that way you can hear the, new fancy engine starts or something along those lines, and a little bit more specific information as well as more broad stuff that y'all will want to see as pilots that you've expressed interests in before. So again, expect more of those videos to be released here in the next coming weeks, but we have a few that have already been recorded and a few that are in the editing processes right now. When it comes to is there going to be more expansion into X-Plane? Currently, with our current development team, we don't have really many people that are flying with X-Plane. Most of the people that we have on our development team are primarily focused on Flight Sim 2020 and 2024. That doesn't mean that we're not going to focus into X-Plane. We do believe that X-Plane and our X-Plane users are a valuable part of our community, and we want to bring the same features that we have within 2020 into X-Plane. It's just a matter of finding the right person with the right information and skill set to be able to help us do that. Once we can find the right people to help us do that, we will start bringing in the new Love Cars features such as the interactive co-pilot and the switch flipping and all that other stuff into other sims such as X-Plane 11 and 12, as well as moving forward into Flight Sim 2024.
All right, a couple of other questions that are coming in the chat. Carl suggested that we do another ETOPS video. And yes, I agree, Nolan, ETOPS is confusing if you don't know what you're doing. That is something that we can definitely look into for you guys. Someone also brought up that the Good Conduct Award isn't being assigned. Yes, we are going to patch that too. Can we persuade Rachel to issue load sheets, which may or may not be in compliance with OFP? Yeah, a lot of, I'm sure a lot of the flights that from our new hires are not necessarily in compliance. I am interested to know more about what you mean, Rick. If you could send me a DM, we can certainly talk about that more.
Awesome. I'll keep it open here for another about 3 to 5 minutes or so for questions in case anybody has some more. We'll be pushing around the hour mark here when we start getting everything all said and done. So I will go ahead and we'll start wrapping things up here in a minute. But if there are any further questions, I do have a couple more slides associated with closing remarks and everything. So stay tuned for that. But other than that, if there's no other further questions, we'll keep watching for another 2 or 3 minutes here. But again, this goes into our Q&A session with VA leadership, as well as if you have any open floor suggestions or feedback for the VA, just let us know and provide that in there. Nolan has a lot of questions today. Will the new website and Love Cars be in beta when it first comes out? So there will be a beta version that's released to certain individuals within the organization, mostly staff members, as well as because there's a lot of new changes for staff members in the back end as well. So that's going to be released probably sometime in mid to late February, so we can start testing out the bugs and making sure it works as advertised. There'll be a small closed beta team that we will look to have in order to bring more people that are not just staff members into the loop as far as that. But the full stable released version will be on the new server after we have that 1 day of server shutdown. It'll be full up and stable release on the new server. So yeah, it'll be full stable, no betas once to be switched to the new server.
Rick asked on our satisfaction surveys, do we ask why folks are dissatisfied? I believe there is a field for them to give comments. I know for a fact that there is fields for them to say, would you like to be contacted? If you do want to be contacted and at least you're telling us areas that we need to improve on, that is something that I at least am keeping a close eye on. So, give us honest answers on that. If we're sucking at something, tell us, and we would love to hear your feedback for how you think we could do better.
With that being said, there is a question on the YouTube live chat real quick. Do the flight hours now factor into the new pilot rankings? The answer is yes. Essentially, they do, because every hour flown is typically based off of how fast you're flying and the miles flown, right? So if you fly a certain number of miles, that time that you fly is correlated into a quote unquote hourly like pay, which then uses the TFP to make the calculation. So the short answer is yes, it does in some like back end way kind of figure it out. So yes, hours are technically included in the new rank structure. It's just in the form of what we are showing as TFP. Awesome. Okay, sweet. I will leave the questions open here. We can continue to respond to questions as they come through. And then we will go ahead and start wrapping some stuff up here. So I'll go ahead and get into the closing remarks. So first, I want to say to all of our incredible pilots here at Southwest Virtual Airlines, thank you for being the backbone of our VA, right? You are the ones who are making us the vibrant, passionate community that we are today, right? Your dedication, your enthusiasm, your overall professionalism that y'all have within the organization do set us apart from pretty much anybody else. And that's what truly makes us as Southwest Virtual Airlines the best in the sky, right? So as we reflect on what we've built again over the last 15 years, I'm very humbled by what the community has accomplished together in that time. Moving forward, I want to reinstate that my commitment as the new CEO of this organization is to honor what we have already established while pursuing by pursuing and pushing the boundaries of what is possible in order to make our VA even better. And I think personally, with the team that we've built and that together we can continue to innovate, we'll continue to grow, and we'll continue to create unforgettable experiences that will help set that new standard in that virtual aviation world. So I just want to say again, this journey isn't possible and would not be possible without each and every one of you, our pilots. So I'd like to again say thank you for being a part of it. With that in mind, let's wrap up today. We'll wrap up today's meeting and today's town hall by highlighting and aligning it is on what our goals are for 2025. Again, these are our goals for 2025. Help us out by achieving these goals. Go fly those hours. Help bring your friends in. Get 2,000 plus active pilots in this organization. And then if you have time, go fill out that survey and let us know how you feel about us. So again, thank you all again for attending the 2025 Town Hall. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Blue skies and tailwinds to all. Let's go out there and fly.
All right, thank you everyone. Nolan, I am going to reply to your message in the chat.